fucking badasses. People, it's really true that no emotion can kill you. Thank God. But I've like really wanted to. After having been through that, I recognize that the thoughts that tell you like it would be a really good time for you to kill yourself right now, or the thoughts that say, I feel like this is your only option, like this, you should just kill yourself, you should just give up, this is not worth it, you will never survive this, you can't get through this, you cannot handle this hurts too much, this isn't worth it, nothing will ever be worth it. I mean, all kinds, I could go on and on and on. We have all kinds of thoughts. I've had thoughts about my body that made me want to kill myself, thoughts about my relationships, thoughts about my family, thoughts about me in general, thoughts about the world, all kinds of stuff. So I got to the point where I realized that those thoughts didn't actually have to mean anything. I was giving them so much power. I would notice those thoughts come up, and as I gained greater awareness, I would recognize them as thoughts instead of just like the truth of life. I could observe as those thoughts came up, and I could start to think about what I wanted to think about those thoughts. And I know this is meta, just stick with me. I'm a life coach. This is what we do, talk about thoughts all fucking day. So I saw those thoughts, I observed them, and I looked at the thoughts I looked at the meaning I was assigning to those thoughts. And before, when I really was like threatened by these thoughts, it was because I was taking them way too seriously, just way too fucking seriously. And I eventually got to the point where I could still notice the thoughts, they still came up, and secret, sometimes they still do, but they don't mean anything to me anymore. Those thoughts might always come up. I don't know. Thank God right now with much less frequency than they did before, but they still come up sometimes. And when they do, I can just dismiss them as totally irrelevant. They have nothing to do with anything. They exist because they existed for a long time and it was a pattern in my mind and whatever. They are allowed to exist. I just don't assign any meaning to them. I've talked about this with many clients, but it's really true that no emotion can kill you. And sometimes when we feel suicidal, it's because of emotions that we're having that we think will never end, that we think will drown us, that we think will take us down. Emotions that we are so afraid of or so exhausted by, and oftentimes we're exhausted by them because we're resisting them, not actually feeling them, we're just resisting them. But I want you to know that you can gain so much more power over your own mind and your own life when you know that no emotion can kill you, ever. Emotions don't kill you. Suicide is when you make a decision to take an action to try to kill yourself. But that action never has to happen if you remind yourself and ground back into the knowledge that you can, as a human, you have the capacity, whatever your name is, say it out loud. I have the capacity to feel any emotion. No emotion will kill me. I have the capacity to feel any emotion. I have the capacity to survive any emotion. I have the capacity to go through any emotion and come out okay on the other side. I have the capacity to experience an emotion, even the most painful ones that I could ever imagine, and to come out even better on the other side. Stronger, more connected with myself, more in belief of my total invincibility, because holy shit, can I just tell you, the amount of emotional swagger I feel after having contended with my mind when it told me to kill myself and I didn't is insane. The confidence you get from actually walking through the fire of all of those crazy thoughts that come up and the deepest, most painful emotions, you really can do anything. There are people who haven't experienced that. There are people who haven't really had to contend with their own minds in that way. And they're not better or worse people. They're not even stronger or weaker. It's just that they haven't had to walk through that. Like they're a little softer. Like it's like women who have never given birth versus women who have given birth. It's like, it's a club. Like women who have given birth are like a special breed of fucking badasses. People who have felt emotions that they thought were gonna kill them and they didn't kill themselves are a different kind of person. Like you have a strength now that some other people don't. And it's not saying that you're better or worse, whatever. I'm just reminding you to remind yourself of the strength that you have. And if you have the tendency to feel suicidal, you might not be someone who naturally takes stock of your strengths and your good qualities. But now's the time to start doing that. Now's the time to start adopting that behavior and that pattern. It doesn't have to be every second of every day. You don't have to be your own like constant cheerleader, although I highly recommend that. But it could be once a week or once every 3 days. It could be on a regular basis where you take stock of just a couple things about yourself that you're really proud of. And maybe being alive is one of those things. Oh my God. I'm not gonna cry. You guys, I've cried so much on Instagram this week. I've just been so emotional. Okay, I think we got through it. Maybe being alive is the thing you're grateful for. Maybe being alive is the thing you're most proud of yourself for right now. And that's a beautiful thing. That is to be celebrated. That's not the bare minimum. I think when we have, and again, with suicide, sometimes when we're suicidal, it's because we are perfectionists and we have these unbelievable standards for ourselves that we don't have for anyone else, and they just exist for ourselves because we want to make our lives harder. But when we're surrounded by all these standards, which I love standards, but sometimes they can be toxic if we're using them in a toxic way. But sometimes when we do that, when we have these high standards, when we're surrounded by them, all these expectations, we see staying alive as the baseline. It's not the baseline. Staying alive is an accomplishment. Staying alive is, especially when your mind is trying to convince you otherwise, to maybe stop being alive, it is a huge accomplishment. So please recognize yourself for that. And remind yourself all the time, as many times as you need to, a zillion times a day, that is something to be proud of, okay? I'm done yelling at you now. I love you. Next question. How do we have less bravery once we know what we don't know? Such a human question. When like a question has all this overthinking in it, you know that it's a human question. Because humans, we have brains that are just too big for our own good. So why do we have less bravery once we know what we don't know? And how do we get over that and still do the thing anyways? I know more than I used to, but I feel less capable and confident in doing it professionally. Doing the thing. This specific person was talking about like landscaping and gardening and doing arborist work. But you could apply this to anything, literally anything. Why do we have less bravery once we know what we don't know? And how do we get over that and still do it anyways? I know more than I used to, but I feel less capable and confident in doing it professionally. Okay, great. So why do you feel less capable and confident? It's because you have the thought that, number one, it's because you have the thought that you have a gap in knowledge. And number two, that gap in knowledge is a significant factor in your own capability of doing the work successfully, whatever that means, which you should dive into that. What does that mean? And number three, that, I forgot number three, it'll come to me. But anyways, I would really ask yourself, what does that even mean? Like, why does it matter that you don't know every little last thing of everything in order for you to adequately complete the task at hand? So doing it professionally. You don't have to landscape the Taj Mahal. I think you really need to get very specific with your brain about the expectations that it has for you. You have to get very specific about exactly what tasks you're looking at. And your brain can come all day, can just come at you with like, you don't know this, you don't know this, you don't know this. But again, that's so convenient that your brain does this, because then you don't have to do anything, because you have this convenient excuse of, well, I don't know enough, so I can't do the thing. As if doing the thing wasn't the way that you learned more things. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense to all of you. I know that was kind of convoluted, but it's like your brain is like, well, I don't know all of these things, so I shouldn't start doing these things. But doing those things is how you're going to learn all those things, especially how you're going to learn even more things that you don't know yet that you need to know. I hope that makes sense. Basically what I want to just say with this is to encourage you to, okay, good. I'm glad that makes sense. What I'm trying to say with all of this like word jello, is to never, ever, ever, ever let a perceived dearth of knowledge prevent you from taking steps forward in any area. This doesn't have to be professionally. This could be in a hobby. You could say, well, fuck, I weigh, 212 pounds. I can't start doing ballet. I can't start doing these online bar classes that these fucking Instagram people are doing because I weigh 212 pounds. What does that have to do with anything? Like, oh, I don't know everything about this native plant species in order to like landscape this lawn properly. What does that have to do with anything? Like, Google it. Like, it doesn't matter. And I think, again, with imposter syndrome, if your brain is going to try and tell you things about like charging, like I can't charge money to landscape this person's lawn or to design a rain garden or whatever, because I don't know blah, 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 blah. You know more than they do. You've done this before, and if you haven't, you know people who have, or you know how it should be done. And again, the learning comes with the doing. The learning doesn't come with sitting at home researching. Your brain would like to think that it does, because sitting at home researching is so much more of a comfortable position for your brain to take. It's just easier. It's so much easier. You don't have to overcome anything mentally to do that. You don't have to be more than you think you can currently be in order to gain more knowledge. You do have to be more than you think you can currently be when you actually go out and do the thing. Yes, exactly. That is, I did I think it was a blog post about this. Clarity comes with engagement. Clarity doesn't come from asking people how. We think that it does. We think that it does. We are convinced. We're like, well, if I just ask enough people, if I ask enough people enough questions, then I'll find out how, and then I'll be ready to do it. Bullshit, you guys. Honestly. Cut that out. You're never going to gather enough knowledge. You're never going to gather enough information for your insatiable brain to be like, oh, okay, yeah, we got this. Okay, let's go do that scary thing. No, that's never going to happen. So just stop spinning in that. Stop being such a good fact finder as we humans are, and just do the scary thing that feels like you're going to die. Just go do it, because you're not going to die, and you're going to gain so much from it. Again, this is you contending with your mind. You have to contend with your mind in order to not kill yourself, and you have to contend with your mind in order to go out and do the thing that you're afraid of doing. There's just nothing I enjoy more than like wrestling with my own brain. It's like, it's so gratifying and so fascinating. So I will also say, in doing this work around, imposter syndrome and everything like that, ask your brain like what it's telling you is going to happen if you do the thing before you're ready, because that's going to be really good information for you to have. So what is my brain trying to tell me will be the negative consequence of me going out and trying or doing this thing before I'm quote unquote ready, which is not a thing, but whatever. Really get clear on that. You want to know what it is. You want to know what it is so that you can be the adult in the room. Because your brain is not an adult. We know this. Your brain it's not even a toddler. It's like worse. It's like this tiny little fear animal. Because toddlers are wonderful and like beings of wonder and curiosity. Your brain is just a shitty little fear animal. So what is your brain saying will be the terrible, deathly, fatal consequences of you going out and doing something before you're quote unquote ready? I promise you doing things far before you think you're ready is the only way you're gonna actually create the life you want. So go do it. Love you. Okay, assessing scary situations in terms of what's the worst that could happen and have I already been there / am I there now? Okay, short answer, yes, you are. I love this so much, and I don't think this person is watching right now because I don't even think she follows me, but she and I had a session today. It's so funny. I have clients that literally aren't on Instagram. That's like fun to me. So have I already been there and / am I there now? Yes, you are. If you are preventing yourself from taking action because you're believing the fear thoughts in your mind that tell you that you can't do it for whatever reason, there are infinite reasons. If you're preventing yourself from taking that action you want to take towards your dreams and your goals, it's very likely that you're already living your worst case scenario. Go into the future and like sort of map that out. Think worst case scenario. Okay, I'd be in debt. I would feel lost. I would be really unhappy. I would be just like confused and not really know the steps to take. Like you're probably already there. And the only difference is that you're not doing the things that might get you to the next step. Like, we're so afraid of what might happen in the future, like it's bad, but there could be nothing worse than the present. But there could be nothing worse than the stagnation you're feeling. Because even if you went out and you tried a bunch of things and you like got into more debt, or you like went and made a huge mistake professionally or something, your brain is telling you that that's a worse thing than right now, but that's not true. Why isn't it true? Tell me why. Hi, Jen, welcome. Tell me why it's not true. The answer is that at that point, you will have already gotten over those things in your mind, those sentences in your mind that are telling you, that are trying to keep you stuck, that are trying to keep you where you are, that are trying to tell you that any action forward, any forward movement is dangerous or shouldn't be attempted because of the consequences. So when you go there and you actually do it, then you prove those thoughts wrong. You take those actions. You know that you can survive anything. You understand that you can withstand the discomfort and the fear and the pain of whatever you're attempting. And what so often happens is you attempt those things and you realize they're so much less painful than you ever thought they would be, and they result in things that are so much better than you ever thought they would be. Is that why we stay in cycles? Yes, yes. Okay, I'm glad that you said the word cycle, because imagine you're in like, oh my God, you guys, remember the movie Finding Nemo? And hi, Kristen, welcome. So remember the movie Finding Nemo? Like, I don't know how many fucking years ago that was, but the little turtles are in the like chute. You know what I'm talking about? They're in like this like crazy thing and in the water. It's this like supercharge. And in order to leave this like tunnel of like fast moving water through the water, they have to like expend a lot of energy to get out of it. That's what you do. That's what you're doing in cycles. You're in these cycles. They're so comfortable. You have so much momentum, so much like just inertia in these cycles. And in order to like jump out of that cycle, you have to really, again, contend with your own mind. You have to get up a lot of energy and courage and bravery and boldness and belief in yourself in order to break that cycle, because you don't know what's outside of the cycle. You know what's inside of the cycle. Even if it hurts, even if you know it's not comfortable, at least you know what's going to happen. And to your brain, the certainty of knowing what your life looks like and what your life is going to look like in 5 years is safer than the possibility of something. Even if it's something better, it's unknown. And even if the thing you're currently living is really painful, your brain would choose that over the unknown, because your brain evolutionarily is designed to avoid the unknown. So just armed with that knowledge, just like breathe into that. How does that make you feel? Knowing that evolutionarily your brain was programmed to avoid the unknown, was programmed to stay in the known, even if that is painful, even if that is unwanted, even if that is uncomfortable and unhappy. How does it feel? Just knowing that. For me, it's kind of exciting, like really exciting. Because then I can actually open my eyes and say, okay, maybe the fears I have about pursuing that unknown thing that I know that I kind of want, but I don't want to admit I want because I'm so scared of it, maybe those fears are just evolutionary based and not actually based in fact. Maybe the thoughts I'm having that are telling me not to go pursue that thing, or not to leave the relationship, or not to seek the relationship, or not to whatever, maybe those thoughts don't actually have as much credence as I'm giving them. And that's everything. That's everything. If you just stop believing your mind, like what would be possible for you? Someone I was DMing with today said, well, I just don't believe that I have enough time to get everything done that I need to. What if you just stopped believing your mind? What if you didn't believe that? What if you entertained the possibility that you did have enough time to get more than everything you needed to do done, plus a little bit of time to walk outside? Just what might it look like to not believe your mind for a little bit on the things that you're really struggling with? Okay, next question. All right, just a note, I want to tell you this, let's see. Olin, can you tell me if you read my DM? I'm going to check here to see if you did. I can check on my computer. I forgot that I could access Instagram from my computer. Also, while I'm like figuring this out, if any of you on this call have any follow-up questions about anything I talked about, any new questions, you can always write them in the little comment section or the question box. Let me check the questions. No, I don't have any. Good. So yeah, feel free to type any questions over there in those boxes. And, oh good. I think you did DM me back. Haha! Okay, great. Thank you, my darling. So let's talk about this. All right, this person just gave me permission to talk about some things that she DM'd me about. So let us get to it. She says, how do I unfixate from people? I find myself obsessing over them. I try to figure out what to say to get them to want to see me. I obsess over fixing things. I obsess over fixing their emotions. My obsessing causes impulsivity in my actions. So amazing self-awareness there. Well done. So here's what I want to say. She also says, I want a life where I don't obsess over people all the time. I want a life where I am not so codependently attached to people all the time. I want this life, but I don't know what it looks or feels like. All right, so a few things. Number one, stop micromanaging people's emotions and stop micromanaging your life. The more you attempt to control other people, your life, other people's emotions, the more helpless and out of control and hopeless you will feel. I could just shut down my Instagram account right now and like never speak another word to anyone after saying those things. I will say them again. They're the only words I ever want you to hear, except for that I love you. Stop micromanaging other people's emotions and stop micromanaging your life. The more you try to attempt to control things outside of you, the more hopeless you will feel, the less in control you will be of yourself, okay? You know, I'm talking to you. I love you. I'm talking to all of you. I'm talking to me. Like, there should be a fucking mirror in front of me. I'm talking to me here. Because I'm like control freak numero uno, okay? So it's easy for me to just like sit here on my fucking Instagram live and just be like, don't micromanage people's emotions. How do you do that? How do you not micromanage people's emotions? Okay, let's talk about why you would micromanage in the first place to learn how to not micromanage. You're only micromanaging people's emotions if you think that that will make you feel better somehow. The only reason why you would seek to micromanage someone else's emotions is because you don't think you'll be okay if they feel a certain way. So you're trying to help them avoid to feel those feelings so that you can be okay. When we're children, survival tactic. We have to micromanage the emotions of our unstable parents if we want to be like safe as children. Hi, welcome. So this was something that we thought served us in childhood, but it's not serving us now. It's doing the exact opposite. It is perpetuating the lie that we can affect other people's emotions. And that was the lie that hurt us the most in childhood, because when we weren't able to change our parents' emotions, we made it mean something negative about us. We made it mean that we were bad or we were wrong or we weren't good enough. So how are you perpetuating this lie now as an adult? And I'm not accusing you of this. I'm not accusing you of anything. This isn't like shame and blame. This is knowledge that you need to have as an emotionally aware adult. So how are you perpetuating this lie that you believed in childhood, that you should be responsible for micromanaging other people's emotions because that's the only way that you can be okay and survive? How are you perpetuating this now in adulthood? How is this coming up for you now in your relationships? How do you see yourself continuing on patterns of you attempting to people please or to accommodate or to make happy other people that you actually don't have that power over? And as adults, I mean, being an adult is the coolest shit in the world for so many reasons. One of those reasons is that we can elect to not act as children anymore. As a child, you really were in this sort of like victim-y place. You really were in a place of being at the effect of the people around you, their emotions, their actions, their decisions. But that's not the case anymore. Even if you feel like it is, you're the only one keeping yourself there. That's the best news. It's like so exciting. And when I first learned this, it was heartbreaking because I was like, I used it as an excuse to really hate myself because I was like, oh, I should know better. I should be better. I should whatever. I didn't know any better. And if you've never heard any of this, it's okay. You didn't know any better. Now you know. It's fine. We all have a starting place, and that's beautiful and amazing, and none is better than the other, and yours is always perfect. That's another thing I want to say is like, whenever and however you come to this knowledge is perfect. Let that be perfect for you. So if up until this very moment in time, if you've been attempting to micromanage other people's emotions because you didn't know how to feel okay without them feeling a certain way, that's okay. Let that be part of your hero's story. Let that be part of your success story. Let that be part of how you come to be a fully like self-contained, self-actualized, empowered woman. Don't let it mean anything else. Even when your brain tries to tell you a story about it that is either degrading or unsupportive or demeaning or discouraging was the word I wanted to use. Even if your brain tries to tell you a story about that that's discouraging, just don't let it. Just don't subscribe to it. Like the magazine exists in the world. That narrative exists. I'm not going to subscribe to it and read it over Sunday morning croissants. I'm not going to indulge in that story because it's not one that serves me. So what kind of a story are you going to choose about your childhood, about your relationships, about your patterns, about you right now? What kind of a story are you going to tell about that actually serves you? Oh my God, I love you so much. Oh, yes. I have been crying literally all week long, like happy tears, sad tears. It's insane. I don't know why. I've been so emotional this week. So I'm like actually surprised I haven't cried more on this live. So, okay, you feel even more helplessness the more you try to control. That's another thing. It's just like, get honest with yourself. Just like resign yourself. And when I say resign, I mean in the best way possible. Resign yourself to the fact that you never, ever had control over anyone else's emotions in any way, and especially not in the way that you fantasized that you did. Resign yourself to the fact that you don't have control over those people's emotions, and ask yourself what you want to spend your life on now. What do you want to spend your time doing if it's not managing other people's emotions? What do you want to spend your energy on? What do you want to spend your life essence on if it's not attempting to fix other people's emotions? And when we talk about the word fix, are you fucking kidding me? Okay, I had the most beautiful moment today. I heard, I don't know if you guys follow Courtney J. Berg here on Instagram. She is, so I'm Jewish. She is Christian, and she talks a lot about like God, but I love everything she says. It's so beautiful. So today she was talking about how she was discussing feelings with her daughter. Her daughter, that's where I feel completely lost and unsure. Where is? Can you be more specific? Let me know. I'll help you. So she was talking with her daughter. Her daughter asked her, "Hey, mommy, do you still love me even when I'm mad?" And her mom said, "Of course I do, honey. Like, imagine a rainbow without the color red." Oh my God, I'm gonna cry again. Imagine the rainbow without the color red. It wouldn't be the same. Imagine a rainbow without the color yellow or blue or green or purple. And so they assigned emotions to all the colors, and they talked about how if any one of those colors wasn't present, the rainbow wouldn't be as beautiful. And this is why I don't want you to ever try and think that you need to fix anyone's emotions, ever. Let people have their emotions. You allow yourself to have all the emotions that you're having. Allow the full spectrum. Allow the full spectrum of rainbow emotions. Allow that in yourself. Allow that in other people. Don't rush to fix it. Nothing has gone wrong when you're having a human emotion. And it's so easy if we look back to our conditioning in society to see where we got the idea that there are certain human emotions that aren't okay. But we know better now. We know that no human emotion is unacceptable or unlovable or wrong. Allow yourself the full spectrum of human emotion. Nothing has gone wrong when you are experiencing a human emotion. Nothing has gone wrong when someone else is experiencing a human emotion. And if you have the tendency to want to fix others' emotions because you don't think you'll be safe or okay if they're experiencing those emotions, if it's a situation where someone gets angry and doesn't know how to process that and they get violent towards you, either verbally or physically, then take responsibility for yourself and exit. Be the adult in that situation. Take care of yourself in whatever way you need to, and that might mean leaving. That might mean no longer having a relationship with this person. That might mean renegotiating your boundaries with them. That might mean, and when I say boundaries, you have to know your boundaries are never, ever anyone else's responsibility. You can state a boundary. You can say, hey, if you're going to hit me, I'm going to leave the house or leave this relationship. If you're going to yell at me like that, like when you raise your voice, I'm going to leave. Or when you raise your voice, I'm going to hang up the phone. You have to take responsibility for, number one, seeing the behavior that you want to set a boundary around. Number two, setting that boundary and stating it if you'd like to. You don't always have to state it. Sometimes you could just have that boundary in yourself and know it. And number three, the best part, most important part, the most fun part is actually doing the work of upholding that boundary when you have to. When it's fucking go time, when it's time to uphold the boundary, don't back down. If the person oversteps your boundaries, don't sit back and expect them or ask them to, expect is really the best word, to uphold that boundary for you. That's not their job. You decided on the boundary. It has been overstepped. Now you get to be the adult in your own life and uphold that boundary. So what do you say? What would you do if you didn't have to be taking care of others' emotions? Yes, okay, that's where I feel completely lost and unsure. And I'm glad that you asked this, because this is what I wanted to talk to you about earlier. With your subsequent question, you said, I want this life, but I don't know what it looks or feels like. No. I'm just like, what if that wasn't allowed? What if you didn't allow yourself to tell yourself or believe the lie that you didn't know what it looked or felt like? So I would suggest an exercise for you to just take a minute to close your eyes, to imagine that life that you want. And in this case, what we're talking about with boundaries and managing other people's emotions, if you weren't spending all your time on managing other people's emotions, then what would that life look like? What would that life feel like? You do know, you do have some vague idea, even if it's something so vague as I would feel a little bit more relaxed. That's an answer. Don't tell yourself that you don't know. Hi, welcome. So Olin, let me know if that makes sense, because telling yourself that you don't know what that life would look or feel like, and that's the reason why you can't start living into it, is the biggest lie, and it's going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you from actually starting to do what you need to do in order to live a life where you're not constantly micromanaging other people's emotions. So really take a minute, think what it would feel like, think what it would look like, and never let yourself say, well, I don't really know, because you do. It's just like answering the question that you just asked, what would I do if I didn't have to be taking care of others' emotions? But that's the thing, you don't have to. So what would you do with your life? What amazing things would you spend your time and energy on if you were no longer choosing to micromanage other people's emotions? And again, I don't know isn't allowed. It's the most fun game in the world. It's the no, I don't know game. No, I don't know is allowed. So what would you be spending your time on? Your emotional energy, your physical energy, what would you be spending your life essence on if you weren't choosing to micromanage other people's emotions? All of you answer that question. I'm going to answer that question because I still try to control other people's emotions. I think we all do as humans. It's like a journey to learn how not to do that. So that's what I want to leave you with, is the playing the game where I don't know is not allowed. I want to remind you all that I will be sending out the replay. If you want the replay and you're not currently on my email list, just DM me your email, and I'll send you the replay. You don't have to get on my email list. I'll just send you the replay. Yes, totally, Natalie. Yeah. Me micromanaging my mom's emotions was what got me into this work. My first therapist ever introduced me to the term codependency, and it was really interesting. In one of our sessions, I think in our first session, I talked about how I was behaving in ways in order to make her happy, and she was like, what do you mean by that? And I was like, well, just like making her happy. And she questioned me, and she was like, do you think it's your job to make your mom happy? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I didn't understand the question because it was so obvious to me. I was like, of course, that is my purpose. I didn't understand the question. And when she introduced me to codependency and emotional maturity and adulthood and all of it, I was like, what? I actually didn't go and see her for months because I was so triggered triggered by her suggestion that it wasn't my job to make my mom happy. I was like, fuck you. So crazy. So anyways, Natalie, if you have any specific questions about that, like, what do I do if my mom's having a really shitty day and I just want to be a loving daughter and help her and whatever, and like I just want to micromanage? I mean, let me know. I can answer any questions about that. But yeah, it's a struggle. So, and I'm not saying you have to go out and do this tomorrow and like stop micromanaging all the people's emotions in your life, whatever, but just like, I don't know, think about it in your journaling sessions. Olin too, if you're still on here. Imagine how would you act if you weren't trying to micromanage people's emotions around you? How would you think? What kind of thoughts would you be thinking? How would you be feeling about other people's emotions? All of these things. So yes, I would recommend that you guys go back and listen to the replay of this. It will be up for 24 hours and then I will send out the recording so that you can just have it perpetually. If you want the recording, just make sure I have your email. You can DM that to me. There have been so many good reflective questions in this call. I might go through and like, I kind of want to do that, like make a worksheet for each one of these Q&A calls because there are always really good questions that come up. So let me know if you guys would want that, like a little worksheet to go along with these calls. But anyways, thank you all. I adore you. I hope you have a wonderful day or wonderful evening. I'll see you tomorrow morning, 8:30 a.m. for yoga. And I think that's it. If you have any questions,